He got lost at the zoo, then described a room no one knew existed. The August sun hung heavy over the city zoo, casting long shadows across the cracked sidewalks and chain-link enclosures. Families bustled past, dragging strollers and clutching melting popsicles, laughter echoing off the concrete walls. Among them was Julia Whitman, a single mother in her early 30s, gripping the small, sweaty hand of her 6-year-old son, Leo. Leo was quiet for a child. Observant. He had this way of watching the world that made Julia feel like he saw things others missed. Maybe that's why it happened. She had only looked away for a second, maybe two. She was reading the sign beside the giraffe enclosure when Leo's hand slipped from hers. Gone. Her breath caught in her throat. She turned in circles, heart pounding, eyes darting past families and strollers and snack vendors. "Leo," she called, panic cracking her voice. "Leo." Security was called within minutes. They locked down the zoo. Staff combed every inch of the grounds. The police arrived, asking questions that made Julia feel like she was to blame. But Leo had vanished. No trace. No footprints. No signs of struggle. Just silence. 3 hours later, a zookeeper found him. He was sitting cross-legged behind the reptile house, covered in dust, quietly humming to himself. His face was calm. Almost too calm. Julia ran to him, sobbing. "Where were you?" she cried, cradling his small frame. "What happened?" Leo looked up at her with wide eyes and said, "I was with the man in the room." Everyone froze. "What man?" the officer asked gently. Leo looked confused. "The man with the long coat. He said not to tell anyone, but I don't think he's real." That night, after they returned home, Leo started drawing. Not animals. Not the zoo. A room. A small, windowless room with stone walls and a metal chair in the center. In every drawing, a figure stood beside the chair, tall, shadowed, coat trailing the floor. Zoo officials insisted no such room existed. "There's no underground facility near the reptile house," the director told Julia, a practiced smile plastered across his face. "We've reviewed all blueprints. He must have been in a service area." But Leo's descriptions were too vivid, too consistent. He spoke of scratches on the walls, of a flickering overhead bulb, of an old man's voice whispering things. He described a door without a handle and a cold metal table where someone used to lay down. And then he drew a symbol. Over and over. A circle with a jagged line through it. That symbol didn't appear on any zoo signage. No one recognized it. No one except Detective Harris, who had been quietly following missing persons cases around the state. He called Julia days later. "I've seen that symbol before," he said. "In a cold case from 1998. A child disappeared at this same zoo. His sister drew the same symbol." Harris reopened the old case. The zoo tried to block him, citing permits and legal red tape. But the media caught wind. Headlines flooded in. "Boy describes hidden room at zoo linked to cold case." "Whistleblower, zoo built over old military grounds." "What's beneath the reptile house?" A former employee finally came forward. He was old now, trembling, ridden with guilt. "There was a room," he whispered. "It wasn't part of the zoo. It was left over from a Cold War project. Something experimental." "What kind of experiments?" Harris asked. The man looked away. "Psychological isolation. They wanted to see how long someone could last alone. They used animals at first, then volunteers. Some say children." Authorities ordered a ground scan beneath the reptile house. They found it. A sealed hatch. Rusted. Bolted shut for decades. They pried it open. Inside, a small stone room. No windows. A single metal chair. Scratches on the walls. A long coat, left in the corner, half decayed. And on the far wall? That same symbol. Carved deep into the stone. They found bones. Small ones. Human. DNA confirmed it was the child from 1998. The zoo was shut down. Permanently. Lawsuits flooded in. Investigations revealed a history of cover-ups, mysterious injuries, and sealed-off areas that were never meant to be found. Julia kept Leo close. He was quieter than before. More distant. But sometimes, late at night, he'd whisper things. He told me to leave, but I stayed, Leo said once, staring out the window. Why? Julia asked, brushing his hair back. Leo looked at her, voice barely above a whisper. Because he was lonely. Weeks later, a box arrived at Julia's doorstep. No return address. Inside, an old VHS tape. She took it to the police. It showed grainy footage. A boy. Sitting in the same room Leo described. Crying. Rocking. And a voice off camera, "Don't be afraid. You're part of something important." The timestamp? 1998. But the boy in the footage? He looked just like Leo. Exactly like him. Julia doesn't sleep much these days. Not since the dream started. Not since Leo began drawing new symbols. Not since he said, "There are more rooms. We just haven't found them yet." And now, every time they pass an old building or a zoo or a place no one goes anymore, Leo just stares. Watching. Waiting. Because the past didn't end with a room under the zoo. It was only the beginning.